You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
What's happening, guys? Today I'm chatting with Mia Duchnowski, the CEO and co-founder of Oars and Alps, a skincare brand for people who lead an active, on-the-go lifestyle. The company was recently acquired by SC Johnson. Mia is based in Chicago and is also a mom to 4 kids. All right, Mia, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped.
Absolutely. I'm pumped as well. So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and also where you're calling in from today.
Something interesting about myself is that I have a really good duck impersonation.
Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, absolutely. That is pretty good. When did you start doing the duck impersonation?
I think I've been doing that since I was in the 2nd grade. So, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you've had some time to master it.
Exactly.
And where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from Chicago.
Chi-town.
That's right.
How cold is it there right now?
I don't know how cold it is today, but I just got back from Mexico last night, and it was 28 degrees when I looked in Chicago and 82 degrees in Mexico.
What part of Mexico?
I went to an off-the-beaten-path place called Coba, where there is like these archaeological ruins, these Mayan ruins. So I'm not really much of a beach person. I prefer to do more jungle and more adventure and activity than just lounging on the beach. I actually don't know how to lounge on a beach. Yeah.
Well, I'm really good at that, but I live on it in Puerto Rico. Right now I'm in Southern California, which is also very beachy, but I go to 2 different beach towns. But I'm with you. Definitely more of the adventure, hiking, waterfalls.
Absolutely.
Seems like you got some experience in Mexico. That is great. So tell us a little bit about the company. What does it do, and what kind of value does it bring to the marketplace?
Sure. So I am the co-founder and CEO of Oars and Alps. So that's oars as in rowing and Alps as in mountains. And we are a premium natural men's skincare brand for guys who lead a very active on-the-go lifestyle. Our products are made with good-for-you ingredients. And the reason that we bring value to our consumers is because we provide a lot of clarity and understanding around the ingredients that we put in to our skincare formulations, which ultimately go on your skin. And, in this world where natural and nature is not really defined, it's really important for brands like ourselves to kind of put a stake in the ground and say, hey, look, this is what we think is considered clean, and this is why you should use these products for you to have really nice skin.
So do you feel like a lot of your time and efforts in terms of your business and how to get the message across is based around the ingredients, on why you're using those ingredients?
Yeah, consumers are becoming smarter than ever, I think, especially our core guy is usually in a relationship. He's, that 25 to 45-year-old guy. So he's got a little bit of money and he's looking to really step up or upgrade his skincare routine from just the normal drugstore that he was probably dabbling into. And the number one concern for this guy is, taking care of his body. His skin is the natural extension of that. It's your largest organ. So this guy already pays attention to what he's putting into his body, what he's eating. This guy is paying attention to how he's using his mind. He's working out. And so he's a lot more cognizant than we would have ever thought about what exactly he's putting onto his skin. So absolutely, the ingredients are driving the story, but also the functionality. Our products are travel friendly. They're TSA friendly. So that throw and go is really important for our guy because he's that adventurer. He's that wanderer. He's that seeker who's looking for action.
Let's go down the product line. What kind of products do you guys focus on?
So our products are really across a couple categories. We have our body care products, which is like our body wash. We have our skincare products, which is one of our top sellers is a Wake Up Eye Stick. But probably our top seller is our natural deodorant. It was one of the first products we launched with. And I'm sure you've heard that aluminum is really bad for your skin. And most antiperspirants have aluminum. And there are studies that can show that, it has a loose connection to Alzheimer's. It's just not great. Essentially, when you're putting aluminum under your arms, you're sealing your arms shut so they can't produce sweat. which is not natural. You were, God created you so you can sweat. And what we try to do is say, hey, look, sweating is good. Let's give you a way for you to combat the odor that's associated with it. And so our natural deodorant is our top seller.
How did you get into this world?
Completely by accident. I had no skincare experience. I would never have even thought I wanted to even be an entrepreneur if you would have asked me. I used to be a TV anchor, a TV reporter. So our roles were switched almost in a previous life. Most recently, I was at Bloomberg TV covering the international, global financial markets. And in that capacity, I had access to some amazing skincare products. And my husband, who's very much your guy's guy. So I always say, not metrosexual, not your average Joe, somewhere in the middle. He was always borrowing my products. And when I did a little digging, I realized that his interest in skincare actually stemmed not for vanity reasons, but for health reasons. So you see, his grandfather had skin cancer and died. His father currently has it, and he was at a risk, and he just didn't know where to start. But he knew that my side of the bathroom area had some products that could help him, that could protect him from the sun's cancer-causing UV rays. And so he would use my products. And that proved problematic for several reasons. First being that, women's products are up to 10 times as expensive as men's, and I was constantly replenishing. So that kind of hurt my wallet a little bit. But I realized that men and women have very different types of skin. I mean, it's just fact that like your skin is different than my skin. Your skin is coarser, it's oilier, it's more prone to ingrown hairs and breakouts. So fundamentally, you need to be using products tailored for that type of skin. And when we did when we looked at what was available in the marketplace, I just wasn't confident in any of the ingredients that the other brands were using. I identified a white space. And so I quit my job at Bloomberg TV, and I convinced one of my best friends, Laura, to quit her job at Facebook. And we came together, and she handles all of the marketing, both on the digital side, the social side, and just like the tried and true side, just normal marketing. And I focus on product and behind the scenes.
So your husband it was like probably also tired of smelling like lavender and roses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm sure that, and you can kind of obviously expand on this, that your experience at Bloomberg also gave you some pretty awesome experiences understanding just the financial markets in general, and also probably market research, et cetera, within diving into the beauty industry.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest assets I brought to the table was the fact that I was a journalist. I enjoy investigative journalism. I like asking questions. I'm very comfortable with going up to somebody I don't know and understanding and really kind of identifying the nuances for what makes something tick, what makes something work. That said, you would have thought that with that background, and I used to work in finance, that one of the things that we would have focused on really almost relentlessly at the early stages of our company was the finance piece. And that wasn't the case. In fact, it's one of the things that I wish if I could go over again, I would have paid more attention to, was making sure that we brought somebody in-house to really focus on the financials and focus on the accounting side, because it was a piece that, when you're a founder, you're a visionary, you're the product person, you're spending a lot of time in the product. At least that's where I was. I was spending a lot of time identifying what exactly my consumer wanted, and I was spending not a lot of time in the numbers, even though I was very comfortable with the numbers. And it was one of the things that when I look back at the couple of years that we've been around, I wish we would have either outsourced that sooner or brought that in-house, somebody whose job is really just to manage cash, because that's super, super important, especially when you're an early stage company.
Absolutely. No, you're right. It's great advice, because a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, and understanding that the visionary mindset is important, but trying to be that chief everything officer that all of us try to do initially can be hindering the growth, right? Studying it for sure, because if you're not the spreadsheet guy, that's okay. Someone else out there is, right? And even if they're temporary, if you're not the P&L guy, right, that's okay. There's others out there that are. But understanding the numbers is really important. I remember one of my first advisors years ago, probably 10 years ago now, told me to fall in love with the numbers. And I go, I suck at math. But now I'd say I suck at math. I'm really good at numbers. And that's important. So you don't, luckily spreadsheets and learning how to formulate it and being a freak in the spreadsheets is totally great. But when it's all said and done, I think understanding your numbers is definitely important. So know that, but also know that it's definitely.
And the numbers tell you a story.
Oh, for sure.
Which is what you're alluding to. You're saying, hey, at the end of the day, I was actually really good at understanding what the numbers were. And from that, you can synthesize an argument for why maybe you need to raise more money, or you can synthesize an argument of why you need to change your marketing tactics or sales plans, etc. And so I really think that's really important.
Mia, why do you think a lot of entrepreneurs out there fail?
There are a lot of reasons, I think. I think the first is that they don't have conviction in their ideas. So they have what I refer to as like halfway conviction or quarter conviction. Like they have enough, they've got a great idea, but they haven't really thought it through. And so when the going gets tough, and it's going to get tough really quickly, they don't know what to do. And then they just go back to what they were doing. And so I think the entrepreneurs that I've, witnessed or I've been around are the ones that they anticipate the going is going to get really rough, and they're able to really be resilient and kind of keep going. And it's okay to acknowledge that things are going to fail or that things aren't going to go the way you planned it, because that's just what's going to happen. Like, take that as fact. But it's how you respond and how you kind of pick yourself up. Most importantly, it's how you're able to kind of feel like you're not losing face in front of others. I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel like they're about to lose face if like their business plan doesn't pan out, or if maybe a certain strategy doesn't work. But it's really important to be honest with yourself and to be honest with others.
How long have you had your company?
We got together in the summer of 2015. We then started selling to the public in November of 2016. So we're about 3 years old at this point.
Give us a challenging time that you had, not maybe close to rock bottom or close just to overcoming a crazy disaster.
Sure. So right after we had, we raised a friends and family round. So this, I'm taking you to like February of 2016. Mm-hmm. We had a couple of products that we wanted to put into the market, but we realized that one of the formulas was just not great. But we had just taken friends and family money with the idea that we were going to launch in a couple of weeks. And we knew that our formula was just not going to make it. And so much of what you're doing when you're a new company, especially when you're a consumer product company, you can't create an MVP, which for those out there is that minimal viable product. Because when you're creating a brand, or when you're creating an actual consumer product that's tangible, that people can touch, people want something to be as close to the darn thing as possible. Like, you can't give them 90%. You pretty much have to give them 100%, which is the opposite if you're running a SaaS company or, more of a tech company. And we had to really flip that on the head and go to our friends and family investors and say, hey, look, we're going to have to pause. And by the way, I was about to give birth to my third kid, which means the pause was going to be a little bit longer. I was still working through it, but it wasn't going to be like, next week. And we had to wait, which meant that we weren't able to launch until November of that year. And so I think that's important, being honest. So that's the other thing, is like not hiding the facts. Like, the numbers are going to tell you something, your consumers are going to tell you something. And especially when you take investor money, you can't dance around the facts, especially early on when the relationship with the investor, and, we raised 2 rounds of financing. It's super important that you are as clear and communicative with the people who are really guiding your financial future.
Are you struggling to grow your business? Have you ever thought, man, I wish Mike could answer my specific questions about my business? Well, you're in luck, and I can help. Go to michaellevis.com and sign up to schedule a free live on-air call today. That's right. For a limited time, we're recording real business owners with real struggles. If there is, the entrepreneurship journey that all of us obviously have had. And again, I love to hear that you were going through this and also going through it while being pregnant, by the way. Now, of course, I don't know what that feels like, but I've had others on the show, which I give massive props to you on that. And also knowing that I just love being able to talk about those kind of stories, making sure that others are hearing it, knowing that it's not an excuse not to do it, right? Because it's possible that you guys are able to do it. I think that you're able to do that, and also go through raising rounds. If you have had to do that out there, that's a full-time job in itself, without a doubt, right? Raising funds. Why do you think a lot of, when it comes to the entrepreneurship that you mentioned, that it's hard, right? But what do you think a lot of them out there have just kind of thrown in the towel based off of? Is it raising funds? Because this is a different demographic that are listeners that are likely, maybe there's some that are just bootstrapping, So I'll reframe the question. Do you feel like you would rather have bootstrapped it or raise the funds?
Sure. No, that's a great question. So I'm going to start by answering that by saying, as a journalist coming from the financial journalism, the business journalism world, imagine this headline. You see it all the time. So-and-so company just raised $30 million. So-and-so company is now worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
Well, in other words, that headline could easily read, so-and-so entrepreneur just gave away 55% of his company, or so-and-so entrepreneur just gave away 80% of his company.
Yep.
For some reason, the press in the US, and I was part of it, has idolized and glorified the idea that you should raise as much capital as possible. That is absolutely not the case. Everyone needs to flip that in their mind right now, because the name of the game is raise as little as possible to get you to the next milestone, which hopefully you've hit out of the park, so that you can then, if you need to raise some more, the best type of business for the businesses that are funded by your customers. Now that is hard, especially for direct-to-consumer brands or DTC brands like myself. And that's also hard for brands that are looking to really, you need to spend a lot of marketing to really get that out, especially when you have to create a product. So I'm not saying don't raise many. I'm saying two things: raise as little as possible, and don't have an ego associated with the valuation when you get a term sheet. There's so much left and right. And I think part of the reason of our success was we have an office in Chicago. We do have an office in New York. My co-founder is based in New York. But we were really when we looked into the market, we were looking at what the coasts were doing, like what the West Coast and the East Coast were doing. And some of these valuations just don't make sense on paper. And, we're recording this, it's early 2020 right now. And you could just read the news. And a lot of the companies that started when we launched a couple of years ago are no longer in existence, or they're struggling because they're not able to find someone to acquire them because their valuations are too high, number one. Number two, they never got the product market fit to work the first time. And so the way I would answer that question is to say, first of all, figure out if you need to raise money. Then figure out how much you need to do to get to the first milestone. And everyone's first milestone is going to differ. For us, it was really just, it was actually pretty simple. It was like, how much can we get on a revenue basis? Can we do it while keeping our CAC below a certain number? Sure. And CAC is, your customer acquisition cost. And so that was what we decided. But that's, I think, is really important. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that, like how much they're supposed to raise, if they should raise. So we bootstrapped until we realized that we needed to raise an angel round, which ended up just being friends and family money, mainly friends money. And the word of caution I'll tell you there is be very careful which friends you take money from. Yep. We had some great friends but not everyone has that. And you want to make sure that, your business is going to, you don't know what's going to happen to your business, but you want to make sure you have your friend at the end of the day. Yeah, no,
I definitely agree. I think the friendship definitely is going to win the game. I always say business and life, hence the name of the podcast, and life wins the game. But there's something to be said there, I think, as a takeaway as far as the bootstrap or raise money. Raise what you need, eat what you need. Don't eat until you're full, until you hate yourself kind of idea, right? And don't believe the hype, right? There's a lot of hype out there, and you're right. It's so contradictory to the headline of you're still giving away. The more you raise, the more you give away. Very simple logic, right? And I think that's important. But of course, there's going to be investors, whether VCs or angels out there, that would love to take more if they can. And I think it's know what you need as well. Know how much you need. At least have the idea and do that market research. What are you excited about right now, Mia, within your business?
Well, we are working on a big launch this summer, so I'm super excited about that. I kind of alluded to the fact that one of the reasons we got in here is because of my husband's concern with the sun and with skin cancer. And so I can't say much about this big launch, but for those who can kind of maybe, string together those points, we're launching a big summer initiative. And that's really, really exciting for us as we look to really reduce the mortality rate amongst men who have skin cancer. It's actually has a higher mortality rate for men than women, mainly because men don't take care of their skin during when the sun is out.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely something that I will be looking forward to looking at myself, because I am in the sun a lot. And so I definitely
You don't have to rub it in.
Well,
It's good. You just got to protect yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, from a guy that's legitimately, whether it's in Southern California or even, and I have a lot of friends in the same boat where we don't have shirts on many times of the year. It's just part of the game. And we just walk out and I have my coffee in the morning on the beach. And I'm very blessed to have that. Right. But when it's all said and done, yes, I need to have the right protection. And sometimes I don't even wear it because it's so hot and I don't want to because it's sweaty and I don't want to have all the sticky, sunblock on me, but I know.
Well, I'm going to have something that you can put in your arsenal in a couple of months.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for that. And I know our listeners as well, for sure, the guys. Out of all your successes and your failures, Mia, what is one piece of parting advice before we kind of find out where we can see you and kind of see the website, et cetera, and get a chance to connect with you as well on social? What's one piece of parting advice that you give to entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs that are listening today?
So the first piece of advice I'll say is you're going to be meeting a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to be what I refer to as negative energy. They're just going to take away and they're going to take away. They're not going to be additive. But once you realize that that's the type of person they're in, there are ways to kind of flip it to have them become more of an asset than, something that just drags you on. And so I always like to end conversations with people that I don't know or I'm meeting for the first time and say, thank you for that feedback. That was really helpful. Who are 2 people in your network that you think I should meet? It does 2 things. Number one, clearly they're not going to help you. Or maybe the way the conversation is going, they're not going to help you. They're not going to invest perhaps, or, they don't like your idea. You may not talk to them again, but try to see if you can talk to 2 other people in their network. And who knows, those people may they'll be your next investor or your next customer, or they'll be something else. And it's just a great way to kind of expand your your professional network. So I always say that's the one. That's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice I'll say to your listeners is this. I find the advice that you need to follow your passion and your passion is your North Star to be a lot of rubbish. I don't think you need to be passionate about what you do. I think anybody who's passionate about anything to that level is actually on borderline insanity, and I don't like hanging around with insane people. I have 4 kids. I run a company. I am very active in my community. If I was passionate about any one of those things, I wouldn't be able to do the next thing. I wouldn't be able to be a mom that works. I wouldn't be able to, help and give back to my community. In this case, it's the Lincoln Park Zoo. And so I think you have to be interested in what you do, but you don't have to have a crazy passion. I am, and there are different ways to be passionate about something, right? You could be passionate about an industry, but not necessarily the actual sector, or vice versa. Right. And so I'll just give that advice to your listeners as they're perhaps maybe thinking about what they want to do next. Is it's okay to start something even if you're not passionate about it. I don't think passion is what's going to take you to the top.
I mean, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. That is mia.saini. That's mia.saini. I would love to connect with anyone that I can help with on LinkedIn as well. And of course, you can find us, all of our skincare products at oarsandalps.com. That's oarsandalps.com. The other thing I'll add is accidentally our brand has really appealed to women, and about 30% of my customers are actually women, and they'll say things to me like, a men's deodorant just works better than anything else on the market, and I've been using a men's deodorant since I was on the 5th grade basketball team. And so we do have a nice we appeal to all genders, and we appeal to anyone who lives this very active on the go lifestyle.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, giving us your story and dropping some of these knowledge bombs with us today.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the California sun.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.